What's good, YouTube? This hood is really light. Giddy up! Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Tristan, and I'm here just to give you a quick comparison of the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Willys versus the 2021 Jeep Wrangler Willys. Very similar cars, as you can see from the looks of the front, but unless you've been living under a rock, you'll see that the Gladiator actually is kind of a truck in the fact that it's got a 5-foot bed, versus the Wrangler is the standard that you're used to from Jeep. So just looking around the vehicles, they do look very similar in styling, that's for sure. Identical wheels, the lights at the back are pretty much identical, but obviously the shape, or the fact that this one has got a covered top, is the main difference. So what are we looking at when we're talking about price? So neither of these vehicles are cheap. So the base price on this car is $32,000, but as spec it is almost $46,000. This is on the Wrangler Unlimited, and it is a 3.6 liter Pentastar engine, so the usual engine that you're used to with the 8-speed automatic, but it gets 21 miles to the gallon combined, 19 city, 24 highway. Whereas with the Gladiator, exact same transmission and engine, but you're actually getting 90 miles to the gallon, but it is 17 city, 22 highway. So it's 2 miles to the gallon less on the Gladiator than what you are actually getting on the Wrangler. So that's one thing to take into account. But I do like the color of this one. It's very similar to the Dodge truck that I reviewed the other day, but it's slightly different. This one's called Snazberry Pearl. So it doesn't pop as much, I think, as the Dodge truck that I also looked over. And then this gray is granite crystal metallic, and it has tons of sparkle in it. So it is quite a nice looking color, that's for sure. And if you look at these two side by side like this, you'll see that the wheels are pretty much identical. So if we look a little bit closer, let's see if it says what size they are in there. So these are 255 wide, 75 on the sidewall, and a 17-inch rim. So this is pretty much the most basic rim that you can get on these vehicles, or close to it. And then if you look at this one, it is exactly the same. So yeah, the wheels, as I thought, are identical on these two trucks. So, and even the doors are pretty darn identical. So I think really it comes down to which one do you like the styling of the most. Now the Gladiator comes with 285 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque from the V6 engine, which is not bad at all. And the Wrangler also comes with the exact same amount, 285 horsepower, 260 foot-pounds of torque. So identical in its specs. Moving to the rear seat of the vehicle, they are cloth interior, and if I jump in back here, there's a decent amount of leg room. There is, let's see, this is where the window switches are, and here is the AC. I do not see any USB connectivity back here, and then the doors are very plain, very basic and very plasticky feeling, but you know, the roof of these Jeep come off, so kind of expect that. And then you do have the speakers up here, and then the front of the car, it's quite a nice looking interior. Everything does feel a little bit on the cheaper side, at least on this particular model, if you ask me. And you do have this tiny touchscreen radio up front, and it is push button start. So, you know, it's not my favorite design, I would say, of a vehicle. You definitely have to be a Jeep person to like these things, I think. This particular model also comes with manual controls for the seat. So what they're saying is, for over $40,000, you still don't get electric controls for any of the seats. So I do think that that's kind of hilarious myself. Now you do get one USB-C and one USB port and an auxiliary port. These are the window controls for the front and the back, and I mean, it's pretty basic. You've got dual climate control for passenger and driver. All of this is hard plastic. Glove compartment is pretty darn tiny, and the door pockets are just a net, so next to nothing. And yeah, it's super basic in here. Oh, and there's a 12 volt. You got a manual parking brake, and then in the armrest you have a fairly deep pocket which has another USB in there, but nowhere near the size of the truck that I reviewed last week. You know, that had so much more storage. But the steering wheel does feel nice, and you get the exact same controls on this as you did the Dodge Ram Laramie. And as far as the trunk goes, you pull this handle and this opens all the way up. And the good thing about Jeeps is you do get a full-size spare. And I will put the trunk size on the screen so you can see how much room you got. You got some more storage space under this mat here, which is not bad. And then this also opens up to give you full access to the back, so you do get some good storage in here, especially if you drop these seats, which do a 60-40 split. So storage space is pretty good. And then you've also got another 12 volt back here too, so it's you get some good size storage for this vehicle. Now, there's no point really looking at the trunk of this because it's just a truck bed. So it's pretty self-explanatory. And the rear seats, exactly the same cloth seats as in the other vehicle. You got the same window switches, the same AC, the same door panels, and pretty much the exact same interior that we just saw in the Jeep Wrangler. So, do you have as much space in this as you do the truck? Absolutely not. There was way more room in this than there was in the truck. Speakers and everything are in the same place. You do have a window back here that you can open up, and you've got some headrests for the passengers. And both cars do have a tilting and telescopic steering wheel, and the steering wheel does feel great quality, but everything else in here is exactly the same as it is in the Jeep Wrangler Willys, so there is no differences. So these cars are basically identical. The only difference as far as looks is just that one is a truck bed and one is enclosed. Both of them you can take the doors and the roof off, so they share that function. And the Wrangler gets 2 miles to the gallon more than what the Gladiator does. But for the price of these, $46,000 and almost $46,000. That one's a shade under 46. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I would just walk over here to this huge Dodge Ram Laramie, and this is the same one that I reviewed the week before, and I would just probably go ahead and buy this because its base price is $48,000. I know this one aspect is $56,000, but I'm telling you, even with the base price, the amount of room you get and the amount of other cool features that I feel like this car has, it's worth just getting a regular truck. I mean, I'll show you the interior of this again. Look at it. Night and day. So much bigger. So much more room. So much more storage. Rear seats are way bigger. You've got a huge bed. It's still a 4x4. So this would be what I would go with if we was concerned about price. But if you are a die-hard Jeep fan, then really it's just pick your poison. Which one do you like the best? Anyway, that's the end of the review. I'll see you in the next car review.